I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight of the Town of Union City Board of Trustees on May 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Chad, would you do the invitation?
Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for blessing us, Lord. And Lord, we're just thankful to gather here. And Lord, we just ask that all decisions made today and tonight in regards to the town is the best decision for the town as we see and feel. And we thank you and we love you. Amen.
Jimmy, you put your
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
call order 601.
Brian Dawson.
Present.
Keith Dennis.
Here.
Chad Fisher.
Here.
James Smith.
Here.
Number 5, swearing in of trustees and selection of mayor and vice mayor. 5A, consideration and possible action regarding swearing in of new trustees elected on April 1st, 2025. And we're going to shoot Taylor to do that.
Those of you, congratulations. Please stand. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Ryan Dawson,
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of Oklahoma,
the Constitution of Oklahoma,
and that I will not knowingly
and that I will not knowingly
receive directly or indirectly
receive directly or indirectly
any money or other valuable thing
any money or valuable things
for the performance or non-performance
for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office,
pertaining to my office,
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
as Town of Union City Board of Trustee member
as a Town of Union City Board of Trustees
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Does everybody sign that?
Yep.
5B, consideration and possible action regarding nominations and appointment for seat of mayor.
Make a motion, we select Bob McGregor.
Any second? I'll second it. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion. Vote?
Aye.
Oh, we all have to.
Yeah.
Good. Bobby's the mayor for 2 years, right? 5C, consideration and possible action regarding nominations, appointment, for seat of vice mayor.
I make a motion, we elect Ryan Dawson as vice mayor.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 6, consent agenda items. All matters listed under consent are considered by the Town of Union City Board of Trustees to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any Board of Trustees member may, however, remove an item from the consent agenda by request.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion, do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is that where we sign the meeting minutes?
Yes, sir. And then you'll hang on for a minute. There's 2 sets of them.
I should've put it on the back page. I want you to get a paper cut. Number 7, correspondence from citizens. No action. Number 8, financial reports. The regular monthly financial reports for all funds are provided by the Board of Trustees for the review and information by the Union City Treasurer, Michelle Burns. At the close of business, April 30th, 2025, bank balances are as follows. ARPA, 0. Capital Improvement Bank First, $255,399.82. Capital Improvement First National,
$198,32. $198,032.
Community Events, $12,681.47. Federal Asset Forfeiture, $17,399.69. General Fund, $314,531.17. REAP Grant, $0. State Asset Forfeiture, $6,047.16. Street and Alley, $13,586.72. Traffic Bond and Refund, $44,645.77. UC Municipal Authority, $718,913.99. Union City Municipal Deposit Funds, $56,037.74. UCPD Community Projects, $5,581.17. Union City Dispatch, $20,090.08. Union City Fire Department, $894,018.69. Union City Police Department, $299,238.84. B, total amount of funds accessible to the town of Union City is $1,193,257.53. Number 9 is the Department of Union City Code Enforcement.
That's my report. Questions on that?
Got a lot of burn permits, that's good.
Not really.
Oh, it's not? Anybody have any questions?
I don't have any clue. Was there any citations written this month for code enforcement? No?
We had one animal at large, that was only 25, but as far as like I can, those will begin this week. Now that it's drying out, and we'll have multiple days of sunshine, hopefully they can mow your yard.
You just let me know if it's mine, I'll come get it.
But they're coming.
Anything else? 9A, water and sewer non-franchise permit.
Still waiting on.
We're waiting on phone.
You know anything, Bruce?
I do not.
Table.
Find out.
Is Tom back at the office almost every day now?
No.
It's kind of,
He was in for a couple hours today. He said that, he hoped to take the last of his active treatment this week. and he is planning, to be here for the next meeting.
All right, 9D, Dawson Fiber. Consideration of possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or the acceptance of Dawson Fiber deploying fiber to the homes and businesses of Union City.
Still no action, I guess, 'cause waiting on the other thing, right? I mean, no action.
It was all the way down on 44th Street, they
They
did one
were
the
just
other
north
day,
of the water tower,
working. Huh?
the county water tower.
They were.
Yeah, up down 44th Street.
I think they've already got a box there.
Yeah, we talked about that, can't stop them from fixing what they got there, it's just stop them from continuing.
Cause they service us and they service the school. So they've already got line here.
Well, no action yet. Number 10, Department of Union City Police.
You all should have a report of notes. We picked up the Tahoe, we purchased the Mustang, it's going, getting decals right now, should be done pretty quick. The new Explorer we purchased should be done this week.
You would donate that to our home, or don't do that. What now? I got a lot to do.
Overall, it's been pretty busy month, call wise, traffic was pretty slow, but we took 31 reports this month, so we were pretty busy.
$76 citations.
76 stops.
So resulting in
Total
citations.
of 89, which is less than usual. Rain didn't help anything.
Slow moving train. Any questions, discussions? Chad?
I don't know.
Carrying on. Number 11, Department of Union City Fire.
You got a report in there too.
It says real soon on the tank pumper.
I'm sorry?
It says pretty soon on the tank pumper.
Yeah, they say any day, I think it's either left or getting ready to leave for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where it was fitted, or does it have?
Built, that's where it's built.
Built.
We have to write a check before they deliver, or when they deliver?
When they deliver.
When they deliver, okay.
Well, there goes your bank account.
You look like that.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
That's why we've been saving for 10 years, like kids with a piggy bank.
It's good.
What's that new siren cost?
It's gonna be right at 30, remember? Yeah, but it's not, it's still ordered as far as I know.
You ever heard of lead time on when that will get here? No?
Parts is hard, you know, everybody's worried about the tariffs and all that, and it didn't get on, so I don't know what else is going on with that. I'm sure y'all wanted to talk about the last one. EMS,
Oh,
I'll read it so everybody can hear it, but, as many of you may have heard, City of El Reno decided to launch its own ambulance service, ending Patrick EMS coverage within El Reno city limits effective July 1st. Change is promoting a few logistic adjustments that will impact Union City as well. As of now, Patrick has committed to placing an ambulance back in Union City beginning July 1st at no cost to us during this transition period. So they're gonna, when they leave El Reno, one truck will come here,
It won't be dedicated just for here, but it'll be here most of the time. They have to go help somebody and all that, till they get everything figured out exactly. Once Piper's finalizes long-term operation plans, they'll present a new service proposal and contract for us to consider. He said that's probably gonna be 8 months to a year before they're even.
Is that like downfall of because we passed that deal for the EMS and fire?
No, it's just El Reno decided to do, they're doing their own ambulance service. They didn't hire another one. They just started their own inside the city itself. They bought 3 ambulances, just doing it themselves rather than hiring it out. So, not to Patrick's fault, not to anyone, just a timing, you know, which, good thing that did pass over.
Well,
But
they-
anyway,
It's probably too early to ask, but will they be interested at all in,
covering us.
covering us at all?
And I don't know that yet. As of now, I know they're just doing city limits, but you also have to look at, depending on what they offer, my understanding is they're only have 2, fully equipped ambulances and one either backup or, it's called BLS, which is just EMTs, which I don't mean to minimize, they're still good, but they don't know, you know, I don't know, we got a lot to work out, but, right now, Packard's not gonna just leave. They're still covering everyone else, so we'll just be down here until all this comes about, you know, and we'll visit all sides, but at this point, I would think we'd be hesitant. I don't even know if they're gonna offer it, number one. Number two, it's kinda like, you can't just, if you call the county sheriff, if you don't come, you can't just call the next county, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's in jurisdictions and all, so. But either way, we're gonna be covered.
Well, hopefully it'll work out.
Yeah. Any other questions on any of the rest?
I don't know, y'all?
No.
Alright. Number 12, Department of Union City Emergency Management.
Nothing to report, he said, all the sirens except one are working, well, yeah.
She said they were gonna get it put in this month.
Supposed to, as quick as it gets here.
There's probably tariffs on, electric poles. Number 13, Union City Water and Sewer.
Report attached.
Did anything jump over on the I&I issues?
No, I thought we did have a little problem, but it had nothing to do with that. The darn, line that goes from the pumps to the pond, which has never, ever had a problem, decided to have a problem. So, it wasn't extra water coming in, it's just they weren't pumping it out very good. Took us a while to figure out exactly what was going on, but we got that, and everything's fixed now, so.
Quit stinking.
Yeah, just FYI, we had 12 inches of rain in Jackson in April. I have to keep up with it to the 10th, at least down there anyway, so, pretty good. Amount of rain, but we had some, you're gonna get some regardless of the brand new system, but it was very minimal. The pumps, it was a mess. Community garden's doing well.
What do we need to do for the lagoon cleaning?
So, he's working on that, our engineer, and, basically just have to clean it out, sludge it, get sludge out of it, and
Well, that'd be, I guess it'd be up for bid.
it'll be, yeah, well, it's a process, you know, he'll figure out exactly what needs to get done, just like the last project, we'll put it up for bids, and there's different ways to do it, there's land application, depends on just what's best for everyone, for it, so. It won't be quite as much, but I budgeted pretty hard for it. Hopefully we can get a grant, won't have to use it all, but I did put it in the budget just to cover us.
So, did you fill out for a grant for it?
I have yet, so we gotta close this over before we can do any more grants.
Okay.
Yeah. And what that is, that nail's done, other than a couple little bitty bunch of the stuff.
Any more questions, discussions? Water billing fees. Consideration of possible approval, deny amendment, revision, and acceptance of the implementing and maintaining maintenance fee for all water accounts due to the new software costs.
This is something y'all told us to put on the agenda for,
Oh, yeah.
the new
Part of
system.
it, or is
Yeah.
that just the fees?
It's not the,
Is it, or is
No,
this,
that was something different.
this
Yeah.
is more on top of this,
right,
charging on top of this, right?
Yeah, there's two separate things.
We could figure out what it would cost, to everybody person.
Yeah.
325. If we did it all, then we were talking about putting bulk at 5.
$5 per bill on both.
For
30
both.
days.
And 325 for
325 for-
residents.
Yeah, $3.25 for residential.
$3.25.
Yeah.
What would we,
The good news is you'll be able to go online, like real, see your bills, pay online, and see a lot of times, see all your old bills, and all you can still come up here anyway. I'd rather keep my $3.25.
yeah, what would we name that, like?
We don't have a choice, we gotta switch companies, because that one went out of business, so we had to.
This is jumping ahead just a hair, but I was just looking at this and it says there's a credit card fee, which I assume if you're gonna pay it online, that's probably how you're gonna do it. There's a $4 fee added to every transaction. Is that imposed by us or the credit card company?
Yeah, all those fees are just passed along.
Yeah, we won't get none of that.
That's pretty damn steep.
That's what
If
we
you're
charge now,
also
it's not
paying
gonna be
the-
that then.
If you're also
The one we're
paying
using now is
3%.
more expensive than that, right?
It's whatever the percentage is.
Yeah.
$4 is what they've been charging, but it's not gonna be that now. It's whatever the new company charges the customer.
Yeah.
I don't have a sheet from me, we went over all that, and that seems to have the stuff in front of me.
The amounts?
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
That's just an initial, we can play with those numbers if we need to, that's just what we come up with, that's be exactly what it costs us.
325. I mean, it's just something to think about. I mean, we don't necessarily have to do it, but we pay for that software.
Yeah.
But it's, that software's what, 3 years?
I think that's what that's fine with it, yeah.
And then
With all the upgrades we've been trying to do to everything,
eventually it'll start helping with
with all of the.
water and sewer line
Yeah.
upgrades.
Well, for instance, the sewer doesn't make much, it's $200,000 just to get it cleaned, so
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's never been done, so. And hasn't needed to be done, it's just finally caught up.
Speaking of, do we have a jetter? Did we ever have a jetter?
Long time ago, yeah.
Did it sail?
It's just sitting down there, the pump went out, it was so old, you couldn't get any, took it 2 different places back then, couldn't nobody fix it. Right behind.
You know, they.
I looked at possibly getting one, but they don't even want to see us. But no more often than we need it. The company that comes out is pretty cheap.
Compared to cost of shit.
Right, it's between $500 to $600 when they come out, only have to have them out 2 or 3 times a year. Jetter is $60, $80,000, so, plus we have to go with it, so, at this time.
It'd be obsolete,
If you
sitting
look-
down there with another one.
Yeah.
How many bulk water bills do we get a month usually?
It,
What do we get?
you know, depends on when they come in, but it's what, about 20 to 60? I think there's 62 registered, is that something like that, right? Total, but not that they buy every month, you know, but it just depends on what's going on that month with who's drilling, I guess.
Yeah, 'cause they're getting 8,000 or 9,000 gallons at a time. when they-
Yeah. Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, we have to pass the fees along, that's my opinion. With all the additional costs we have coming up long term, we gotta save every penny we can.
Will we name it?
I'll name the fee,
Yeah.
name the software billing fee. That's up to you guys, really. Whatever you guys think first.
Administrative costs.
Maintenance fees.
Or maintenance fee would be fine, yeah.
Somebody want a motion?
I make a motion that we approve 13A to increase, the fees for $3.25 for residential and $5 for bulk. And we'll make it a maintenance fee on all water accounts for new software costs.
I've got a motion, do I hear a second? I've got a second, all those in favor?
And for, if anyone does ask questions or wants to have more explanation on some of that, we're happy to answer questions, but from where we were a handful of years ago to where we are now with all the, I mean, if you ask David on all the manhole updates and water line updates and everything that we've spent, that's all been great infrastructure stuff, but this town had not done anything in regards to software and billing in how many years? Over 20 years, I guess, and
Not properly.
yeah, and it was, there just were no checks and balances for the billing side, there was just a lot of things, and I think over the years, it's cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. This software brings us up to date to the point to where, every single employee has logins, we can track everything that's been done as far as all of our billing. It ties directly into where we can send all that stuff directly over to our auditors, and it makes it easier for them to fish through. Long term, this program will save us money as a community, but it has been a substantial cost investment wise for us to get it up and going, but.
You didn't put in there how much?
Yeah, $3.25 for residential, yeah, and $5 for. Yes, sir.
I have two ayes.
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Jeremy Teresa?
Aye.
And you can go back to the previous, I guess, the 2 meetings, and they were here presenting, and you can watch the whole, we beat them up with questions.
And I believe they had a virtual the other day.
Yeah, yeah. So you can go back and watch those on YouTube.
Should bring back a resolution next month for you guys to sign. You know, it needs to fix some development.
Okay.
And that won't go in effect till probably what, July?
July first.
July 1st.
Well, whenever we start the
Or,
new.
yeah, when they do,
We
when
should
they
be
get
going live
ready.
in September.
Oh, September, October,
Yeah,
okay.
like we really-
Won't be till the end.
So they won't see that bill until then.
Right.
Okay.
Not till it goes live.
All right, 13B, bulk trash day. Consideration of possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or the acceptance of date selected for bulk trash pickup.
Keep it at.
So you keep
back
that,
on there.
14th?
Yeah, keep it at.
Yep, I'm going on dates right now, yeah, June 14th, this will be the same as we've done the last 2 times. We will have garage sale weekend on the 7th, and, I'm sorry, 6th, 7th, and I guess the 6th and 7th. Then the very following week, the, 9th through the 13th, community will be able to place everything at the curb, if you have a water meter within Union City, and bulk trash will pick it up on the 14th.
It's going out with our water bills, correct?
Yes. Correct, and it's posted social media, I know.
Are they gonna give us a good deal on it?
But it's the same as the last 2 times, it's, I mean, for us, overall cost, it all depends on the weight of what people put out to the corner, but in the past, it's been around $2,500 to $3,000 has been the total
And
cost.
the time, half the time, it's everybody gets stuff out there, it's already, somebody's already.
Well, there is a lot
Go
of.
next month.
Take through.
Yeah.
Keep throwing it out there, boy.
Yeah, no, I would venture to say that it's been a positive impact for sure, overall.
Didn't we used to have more than one
We,
bulk trash day a year?
Not where they did the curbside pickup, we
Oh.
used to have where we would have a roll-off
They
drop
come
twice
back.
a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was twice a year.
I think the curbside pickup has been more successful. Yeah, I think it has been. We've had roughly 30 participants on average per.
There's a lot of elders that don't have
Yeah.
vehicles to be able to get the stuff.
Yeah.
Usually I go give them a list that late Friday evening,
Mm-hmm.
next morning, most of it, half of it's gone, so.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be behoove us to make a banner out there and set a date of bulk trash day.
We can, it'd be nice if we could make some kind of sign where we can, cause I mean, the goal is to do this every fall and every spring, right? So, twice a year, but we wanna be able to change that, the date on it somehow, you know, if it's possible, I'm sure, but, that's cheap enough that David could do a banner without any of our approval, yeah.
I mean, like, instead of date, just, I'm assuming the same, be second weekend of the June.
Yeah.
Second
Maybe
Saturday in June.
whatever the, next, I don't know what, October, whenever it is, I'm sorry. We don't need those ones.
We haven't set a date yet for the.
No, we haven't set one for October, but they're pretty flexible, because.
Next month, we can do that, and we can get something made that has
I'd
both
really
of
like
those.
to see a second one.
Just keep it going every year if we want.
Yeah, but twice a year, I think most people will utilize that.
Pinko had a big.
I'll leave the way we'll do it in
Yeah,
December,
big,
so
big
that,
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
maybe day after Christmas.
You're pretty old,
Make a motion since you know the dates.
Yeah, I can, I'll make a motion that we approve, 13B for bulk trash day, for June 14th for curbside pickup for those with water meters.
have a motion, do I hear a second? Got a second, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. 13C, resolution number 2024-2025-03, consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or the acceptance of resolution number 2024-2025-03, amending trash rates due to the increase in cost.
Approved it last month and said it's come back in the form of a resolution.
They're going up on us, correct?
Right. We did all the numbers last month, it's just a matter of getting the resolution done.
What size is my dumpster at the Dairy Mart, David?
I'm sorry?
What size is that dumpster at the Dairy Mart?
Probably, is it smallest, or maybe the fourth, I'm not sure.
4 or 6, I can't remember what I paid.
Yeah. I think the one line, the fire department is smallest, it's probably two.
Anybody wanna make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion we approve 13C, in the acceptance of resolution 2024-2025-03, amending trash rates due to increased costs.
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll say it.
Give me seconds, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that was in the previous meeting as well, so anybody wants to go back and listen to details from that.
Number 14, capital improvement building project. Consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, and acceptance of proposed building project at Town Hall may be discussed in conjunction with budgets, item number 22.
Don't wanna delay that and move past it.
Okay, we'll move past it. Number 15, the sale of town-owned property. Consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, and revision or acceptance of the sale of town-owned property located near Park Drive.
Have they, completed the survey yet, or what are they on that? No?
Called it in the next day, and, they're getting to it, they haven't.
Yeah, I was just curious what the size.
Because along with, go ahead and doing the baseball field, that way all those legals can be done, you know, with the agreement.
Right,
So everybody's got this?
so,
Yeah, you're the one that has.
to start the conversation on moving forward with this land survey portion, if you look at the drawing of that, it's on the north side of that property, it swings out to the east behind your old property, and then comes back in. We drew an imaginary line for the surveyors directly across from there to kind of box that in. The really tough part about the far east side of that is no matter who the land gets sold to, that's in a flood zone. And so, even if, as any type of developer comes along and wants to develop some of that, they're really only gonna be able to utilize the front 2 acres. When I say the front, the northwest corner of 2 acres of that property due to where that flood zone lies. And we don't want to get stuck with, that back portion that's in the flood zone. So, we had already done a previous survey where we had kind of split that property into thirds with the idea that the very south side would be commercial, the center portion could be utilized for, potential new city hall, park, like an actual children's park for the Parkside neighborhood, and then that back portion being developed into some type of housing. So that's what that's for. I haven't read this yet. Does this need to be read aloud? Is that from the attorney?
It pretty much just says that, you can't put any stipulations on it with a time to build.
Right, okay. We asked that question in the
Without
previous
taking
meeting.
that out further,
Yeah.
and there has to be a contract, so I assume there's no contract, period, since we're
Yeah.
just discussing.
So far, there hasn't, I mean, it's literally just a discussion of, whether or not the proposal brought to us was, G. Burke Properties that owns this property right here where the, trailer park used to be. He still owns that property. And Bob had brought to us the idea, if we work with G. Burke Properties to sell 2 or 3 acres of that land on the far north side of that 13 acres, that he would then rezone this frontage property to commercial, and there would not be a trailer park going on Main Street. That's the proposal in a nutshell, boiled down. The debate for me is I don't want to see a trailer park go in to our community in in the you know, right here downtown area, period. And where I get frustrated is, this was sent to me today by a citizen, and we've read this out loud in previous meetings, but it says, in our ordinances, it says that a license is required and it's unlawful for any person to construct, maintain, or operate any mobile home park or travel park within town limits unless he holds a valid license issued annually by the town clerk treasurer with the approval of code enforcement officer of the town in the name of such person for a special mobile home park. So, you know, there was previously a mobile home park there, right? And we got another email that I had sent an email today to Teresa, and she'd responded back to me. I asked for the dates. The previous owner of that property was a company by the name of A Plus Investments. Those trailers were in such bad shape that it was brought to us to, forgive me, what's the, condemn all of the trailers that were on that property, not all of them, but the majority of them. And we had thought for a long time, just because the maintenance was so awful on that property for so many years, and I mean, the gentleman was brought, you know, to court, he was fine, I mean, we tried all types of things. We have other, you know, upstanding members of the community who have mowed and maintained that property for more years than I can count, probably more years than I've even lived here. And it's just been an eyesore overall for the community. And it's not what I picture for our community on Main Street, by any stretch of the imagination. And so we condemned those, and then when we condemned them, I don't know this for a fact, I assume the gentleman maybe didn't have the money to do the removal, or maybe he just wasn't interested in doing the removal. And so, I don't know if you call it a short sale or whatever you wanna call it, he sold the property to then, G. Burke Properties, right? So, now, when he bought it, and again, I don't have facts on this, this is my understanding, is he bought a property with condemned buildings on it at a discounted rate of what that property could have brought had those things already been cleared off. And for instance, even if, especially if it had been rezoned to commercial, it would have brought more value. But nonetheless, I mean, any smart business guy, if they get a chance, they're gonna purchase a property, you know, if that person's in a pickle, and save themselves some cash. That's my motive. Now, what I don't understand about the sale is he bought a property with condemned buildings on it. The gentleman who owned the property before us did not have the required business license that stayed in there. It had expired. It had been expired for a number of years, correct? And so,
And he came multiple times wanting the Union City to buy, place individual water meters on every.
yeah,
Because at one time on the planning commission, we wanted a fence along the front, so, cause he was gonna bring brand new trailers in, put along the front, and then he was gonna put 20-something meters in. And then we wanted a chain link so like kids could run straight out into 81.
Right.
And then, I think that was the last meeting he showed up at. I don't think it went
It
any
was on the
further.
agenda multiple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, it never
After
came to
that,
the meetings,
nothing ever-
and even when
nothing
we,
forward.
even when we kind of requested for him to come in regards to the upkeep of the property, there was never any,
came to court.
yeah,
He
he
came
came
to
to court and that was it, and I took time out of my time to actually come to that court day and spoke with the gentleman outside and explained to him that we wanna work with him with every which way possible, at the end of the day, like, you know, we're holding everyone else within our community accountable, and he's getting away with murder right there on Main Street, you know, so, it is what it is, that's all in the past. I asked, Teresa for the date of, it was under my, and I don't know the rules, this is where I really need y'all's leadership, because, I don't know, do we have to allow a business license, if that person, you know, for instance, is going to meet all the requirements of what they wanna do on that property, are we as a community, if we don't want a trailer park to go there, do we have to issue them a business license for that business?
If he fulfills all the requirements necessary,
Mhm.
yes.
Okay, we're required to give him that business license, because,
And they pay the fee for all.
right, yeah, which the fee's $100, and I guess initially G-Perk Properties, the license was issued on January 10th, and then it expired on, January 10th of this year, and at this time, it has not been renewed.
Not renewed at this time.
yeah.
He wasn't ready to
Right,
go forward, I guess.
but what positions does the town have, I mean, cause I'm gonna be honest with you, like, every single person that's come to me in the last 2 or 3 weeks is opposed to having a trailer park, at the corner and on Park Drive. I have yet to find a single person in my community, and if they're out there, I would love for them to speak up, but no, I mean, I know that's where I stand, I mean, if I'm on Park Drive and I have own property there, I don't wanna stare at a trailer park, you know, I don't think it's the perfect fit for that area, personally. Now, do I want it on Main Street, and if you hold a gun over my head as far as what, if one has to go into our community and there's zero way for the town as a whole, you know, and through the votes of the board, to stop that from happening, if we can't stop it, then at that point, I would rather it be, you know, off of Main Street, back in an area where it makes more sense than right there on Main Street where it's, ideally should be commercial properties, and, you know, a little more, as far as the looks of it would be a lot better, but, I don't know what stance we as a community have,
As it stands right now, there's really no discretion, but like I said, you're looking to get a lawsuit.
Mhm.
If somebody is otherwise qualified and meets all the requirements and says they ask for the license and you don't give it to them, it's, I realize that the majority of people may not want it, but it's arbitrary as far as the town's concerned to say, no, you meet all the requirements, but we're not gonna give it to you.
You know, my biggest deal is that it doesn't bother me, I've lived here for 55 years, so it doesn't bother me. It looks better now than it's looked in a long time.
Of course.
I think it could be made to look pretty nice. You could still put a fence around it and all that stuff. Those people that live around that right now, they knew it was there when they bought those properties.
Mhm.
And they just chose to live there, next to it. The people over at Parkside did not.
Right.
And we have ordinances that says it takes 10 acres to put one of these anywhere.
Mhm. But that's another argument of, again, when that land was purchased, it was purchased as a piece of land, and the trailer houses that were on it were condemned, you know, I mean, and the business licenses expired, there was no business purchased, best I could tell. So how, I mean, if you're required to have 10 acres, then what allows him to come back in and place that back on that corner? I mean, it's in our ordinances that it's required to be 10 acres in order to have a mobile home park.
But then you'll get into whether that's grandfathered in, because that's what's there before we even had ordinances in this town. There was not even any ordinances, some stuff at the very.
But at this point, it's not an existing.
It's not an existing,
Everything's gone,
yeah, everything's gone, and it's not a mobile home park, and that would be my argument, and I mean, this is me personally, as a representative of this community, I'm not scared to litigate that. You know, I would like to have, you know, more from council, but.
There's not any mobile homes, but there's still meter boxes and everything else that we're making.
We don't have a single water, we have one water meter there, and that's it, we don't have a water meter for any of those things.
I mean, they have one, but there's.
There used to be two.
Cause they're actually just,
When it was put in, there wasn't a requirement that each one probably had an animal.
Yeah.
And I'm not arguing in favor of anybody, I'm
Yeah.
just speaking here.
Yeah.
I'm not for or against anybody
I think
in this deal, but
it's not enough, money wise.
I agree.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that too,
Because-
again, I'll say the same thing I said the last
Since
time.
I know how that land was purchased,
Mhm.
no negotiations whatsoever when it was purchased, and we demolished every bit of it. And we didn't have to come out ahead of the town.
You got $27,000 an acre in that property, by the way I figure it.
Yeah,
And so you probably aren't gonna get that back, but if you want to spur some good development as far as homes or something.
I had a recommendation from the realtor today of making it an acre and a half a lot, and then keeping the frontage as commercial.
so they can, okay, on the current property here, to
No,
put-
on our property that we currently own,
yeah.
because we haven't done the survey yet.
Mhm.
Is we're gonna, here we go, we're gonna be spending $1,000 here and there just for survey this side and that
Mhm.
out. And do it one time, and, you know, we survey that out an acre and a half, or whatever.
Well, you have some interest in it because I got a phone call on Saturday afternoon by Keith Streeter that develops, I think did he build these ones over here? He built the duplexes right over there right now. And he called me and he wanted to know about it. He said, I heard that it was for sale. I said, it's been for sale, but I said, it hasn't been broken down in any pieces, it's just been for sale.
It's been for sale for how long?
But you haven't
They
had,
hadn't had very many calls on it.
but you haven't had like 3
Yeah, like
acres
this week.
separated out from the whole thing. So how can anybody say, well, I want a piece of that?
Mhm.
I think the only fair way to do this is that you figure out what maybe some developers, G-Bert wants to bid. Mr. Liberton here called me also, concerned about that.
Yeah, if there's
He's interested in building, he's built these here.
If
He
you'd
built
like
the house
to speak,
out west.
I didn't know you were here for that, but you're welcome to speak. But if there's multiple people that are interested in that, then we would be crazy not to listen to what the interest is of those individuals and give them an opportunity to do it. The tough part, and I know where you're coming from, and I debated that this week, is that there, for me, the tough part about just putting it out for auction is, and then anybody buys it, and then we end up in the same boat. The whole concept of buying that land was for the town to be in somewhat control of
Residential.
of some residential and commercial, because the previous complaints when we first came on the board was businesses had tried to come to Union City and no one would there was no land offerings at the time. And so now that we have that,
You've had two
like,
corners
yeah.
and two empty buildings.
Yeah, but it's,
For how many
yeah,
years?
but at the same time, when you look at those, and trust me, we've had numerous people look at those.
Since 1984.
Yeah, the total cost of what they wanted for those properties takes a huge investor to come in and do it. You know, and for the small business that we are more likely to attract at this stage of where this community is, they can't afford said property to start a small business, to start a coffee shop, or to start a small insurance company, or a haircut parlor.
Hardly any of them.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
At this point,
I bet you can't buy the land.
Yeah.
And build something like I got down there for less than close to $500,000.
Yeah.
You might do it yourself, but you're not gonna pay somebody to do it, like
Yeah.
you equip it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you that if wasn't for that highway right there,
Mhm.
it wouldn't be sitting there.
Yeah.
The Sonic in Apache, the Sonic in Carnegie, the little restaurants by Fort Cobb Lake,
Mhm.
and one in Binghamton shut down.
Yeah.
They're closed, they boarded them up.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
how tough it is
yeah.
in little towns.
Mhm.
No burgers on Friday night, I guess.
And so,
Well, I wasn't here the special meeting, I wasn't here. I don't know if it got discussed, and certainly not saying anything negative, but there's been talk here that there's a stigma of a trailer park, right? I mean, I think all of our stigma of a trailer park is not good, you know. But was there any discussion of, if they do put something in, is their trailer can't be older than a certain
Yes.
model year, can it have
So
to be
it's
double
like
wide, does it have to be double wide, is there any stipulations on any of that was?
I think that was what it was said, was like $5 years or newer on the single wides, but.
And I wanna be clear, I've sold someone this week, I lived in a trailer house until I was in probably the sixth grade. I mean, that was pretty standard back then, and still is today for a lot of people. You know, you have to have within a community all levels of income, of styles of homes. What it comes down to, I think for us, or at least the way I feel, is just trying to make that make sense as far as location and what makes the most sense for the community as a whole. You know, I still feel confident that this community needs a small apartment complex, you know. Does that need to be right here in the middle of this neighborhood or right in the middle of Park Drive neighborhood? I am sure of that, we know. Does duplexes that Keith Streeter built make more sense to go back on that? I would say yes. Ideally, what I would love to see is the more exact, you know, cookie cutter style homes of what's in Parkview, extended out past, you know, and make that neighborhood larger with exactly what's there, you know. But at the end of the day, there are investors that are wanting to put in a trailer park, and, you know, I'm not against trailer parks. There has to be rules and stipulations against, you know, to make them look nice, and then the biggest thing is code enforcement upholding those rules and holding people accountable for when they don't meet those, you know, standards. But, you know, where's the perfect place to put it?
To make that land more enticing, you would have to require us to put water and sewer through it, and it would really jump the price up a lot, but I don't think we can do that. Money-wise, I mean, we've tried.
You might could help somebody, but I don't think.
Grant-wise, but.
Not until we get through the audit process.
No.
Post-audit process and with the capital improvement fund, I'm gonna say right now, this community at some point is gonna have to drop millions, probably 1 to 3, in helping promote that growth
The
in
only
a
way,
positive way.
the only way it'd help out is if we sold the commercial land off of 152, and then they put it on the rail side on the business.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Streeter told me, he said, I probably can't make it.
Yeah.
But he said you can speak for me in this regard, that I would be welcome, because he said, because we had him on the phone, he said he'd be willing to pay about $10,000 for 2 or 3 acres. Not an acre, for the whole thing. Mr. Streeter said that he was willing to pay 3 times that much, and in negotiations for the contract, he might go more than that even for it.
You at 40?
So my opinion of that would be that we open it up more broader and let these other individuals that are interested in doing the same thing present us with some ideas.
Because right now, 152, I mean, the only time people see it is Cary.
Yeah, but when it opens up, you can, when you come down 152 and you look that way, you can see it just as well, or probably better than you can see this trailer park coming from the north, honestly. And you'll be able to see it.
I'm more focused on not hitting them big old dips up 4-way, looking down, that's what I'm looking at, Jimmy.
But, you know, we're just really talking about whether we're gonna sell this property or not, right? I mean,
The
yeah,
property
that
needs-
was thrown into it, but.
The property needs to sell. Like, we're sitting on a lot of cash right there. I mean, whether it's, you know, future, tax and development cash which, maybe Carrie, you can help us out. Someone mentioned to me that you had made a post on Facebook, I don't have a Facebook page, and I didn't go and look for it and read it, but in regards to how the tax money makes its way to the school, like a certain size houses or maybe certain prices no money of income, can you explain to me?
Mine was, it was a little
Renters
bit
versus
that, but it
owners.
was a little bit more, and I'll just use, I mean, cause it's what, you said an acre and a half, I was told
Yeah.
3 acres. I'm just
Yeah.
using fake numbers here to say there's 10 or 20 trailers, nice trailers, I mean, that'd be fabulous. If there's 20, then that's probably 40 voting, hopefully two families, 2 adults living in the home, that's 40 votes. That would have impacted the bond, that would have changed the outcome of the bond. Because those people generally that are living in those or renting, and that was my question also, are they buying or are they renting? Because if they're renting, then they have no reason not to vote yes for a 22% tax increase when it's not gonna impact them. She can back me, this is not gonna help the school from what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm saying as a community, that's not fair to force a 22% tax increase by people that aren't paying it when they have spoken.
And to sum that up, our Constitution originally said you had to be a landowner in order to vote.
Right.
And that kept welfare
And
people from
so-
dictating how my taxes are spent.
I just wanna be, when we go back and circle back to our bond, I I wanna deal with the community as a whole one, it's not my school, it's the community school. If we need to break it down into smaller chunks, that's great, we're gonna get it done, I'm not worried about that. But if you put in a lot of, and no offense to trailers, I grew up in one too, I totally understand. But you're looking at a lot more kids faster, because you can just bring them in, and we don't have a lot of room right now. I don't know if you even remember this, but a while back you had emailed me and said, hey, can you give me the breakdown of how many empty classrooms, how many kids, how many whatever. Our sophomore class next year is sitting at 40. We don't have much room left, even from the data I gave you before, we've exponentially grown. So if all of a sudden 40 kids or 80 kids get dropped into us next year because it's quick, or even 2 years, we don't have that.
Yeah.
So that was my overall, was twofold, let's not lie, I mean, I live there, I see it, but am I opposed? I don't love looking at the prison in the dump, so I'd love something great going across there. But I'm glad you asked those questions, because I didn't know what kind of trailers, I'm not opposed to trailers,
Yeah.
but just something nice.
The difficult, again, I don't think most people, when a new trailer goes in, it's all, fine. It's not as big of an issue. The problem long-term with trailers is they deteriorate at a faster rate, and they're much harder to repair, right?
An example of
So
that?
long-term, no matter how you look at a trailer park, a neighborhood with, brick and mortar homes after 30 years is still gonna look very similar, if code enforcement's done their job, as it did the day it was built versus the 30 year. Trailer houses and trailer park in 30 years versus what it initially looks like, it's not gonna be the same whatsoever. It's not going to, right?
Most
Because
people
they
probably
appreciate
don't
faster and.
remember,
Yeah.
but my former brother-in-law coached here way before I ever worked here or whatever. When he was coming here to coach, Canadian Estates was brand new, and I went with them to look for homes, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful out there. That's 30 years ago. It looks very different now than it did 30 years ago. So those are the things that come to mind.
And that's why when
to
the
me,
initial,
right?
and that's why when the initial trailer park, I'll call it trailer
Yeah.
park, looking out there at Banner Road, I don't think there was anybody here that was for that, cause we knew exactly what that was gonna look like in 30 years,
Well, I won't be here, sure.
I think
I'll
there's
definitely
gonna
be
be a
alive in
difference,
30
yeah.
years, I sure won't be
I
working
think
in
there's
30
a
years.
difference in like the trailer park was expecting or whatever, than like Jensen and Evans,
Yeah.
with the gun club. Cause they're on acre, at least an acre, 3/4
Yeah.
acre lot.
And the cost of,
Oh, it's
it's bad,
fantastic.
In long term, it's just statistics, there's good people in all the places. My favorite guys to go visit with are the old timers with jumped up yards, cause I always find Dylan one of them, but, hey. But, I love those. The point is, I don't know, that's the difficult part, is where do we put one, but I wholeheartedly agree that if there's more people interested in that land, we should listen to all the
But I think you're on the summit, you can't put a sign on 152 and have land back here and then just all of a sudden come up and say,
No,
well, we're gonna sell 3 acres of it.
It's our realtor's job to make sure that people.
Yeah, but if you're gonna plan and dictate what somebody's gonna put there, you need to know what you want. And if you don't, then you're just sitting here with land for sale and nobody knows. So,
I think that's where we're sitting at.
so we need to know what we wanna do, and so these guys could probably help us do it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Right.
Brian and Mr. Streeter, and if Jacob wants to, or whatever. There's 13 acres there, and you're not gonna need all of that to put a police station and a
No,
little
of
bit
course,
up front there
no.
in a commercial business, so it might be enough that they could figure something out, and man, I'll get a little piece of it, who knows?
Well,
But
and
put
that's
it
what
up
I
for bid.
inquired about it just with Cameron, just a few minutes, and it was the 13 acres. So, what we're interested in was the back piece, if nobody else, we know it's floodplain, so is ours. The back end is ours, but.
Most
we wanna
developers
do
aren't gonna wanna
lawn.
mess with that anyway, so for instance,
Right.
if it's up to your property, you want to add that to yours.
But if the lawn,
Yeah.
our daughter just graduated, things like that, a full service salon, but if I don't need 13 acres for that. I just need a little piece of something,
Yeah.
so.
No, I know, everybody I've talked to, I've told them, like, if we can split that thing up into whatever shape makes sense, for the community to bring business and additional rooftops into our community, but.
And I know before anybody called me, it's worth more money than that.
Yeah.
And it's not who offered it, that's the thing, it's not trailer houses, cause I'll tell you, and I've told some other people, You put a trailer house right across the street from me, you know what, I don't care about my property value, you know why I don't? Because I'm not leaving this town, I'm staying here.
Yeah.
And so, it doesn't matter to me, and people are people, and I get along, I've always been able to get along with most people. And I don't care if their yard's a little junkier than mine, they'll have to work at it a little bit, but anyway, so, but mobile homes, that's not what I'm against so much, it's the price of it, and do I think it's a good fit over there? Absolutely not, but, because I see all of that whole farm over there being houses someday, if we're patient enough, and we want to spend a little money to extend some sewer lines out that way, if you wanna grow it, that's how you're gonna have to grow it.
Yeah. But the whole idea, we spent $350,000 on a house and land to purchase that, and then we, for pennies on the dollar, sold the house and they took it away piece by piece to create a blank slate so that we could have conversations exactly like this. What makes the most sense to go there, and what can we do to add rooftops and businesses to our community? That's the whole concept of the idea. It wasn't the perfect business idea to buy that and then, you know, ultimately bulldoze the house off the top of it. But it made sense for this community because we need offerings to small business and rooftops. And so, I still feel that it was a good decision, it's just figuring out how to move forward from here.
I'm not a builder, you ain't a builder, he
No.
is, we need to
No.
get somebody that knows a little something about it.
Yeah.
You see what you can do that will make it the best it can be, you know. You don't want horses grazing on it if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Build some houses over there. And
Yeah.
I don't think anybody over there would mind houses at all.
Yeah.
I think that,
Oh,
they'd
no,
be
I
happy
don't
to
think
see
so
that.
either.
They probably wouldn't mind any kind of duplex like Mr. Streeter built over there, or Brian built over here, those are nice. And Brian built some nice homes too.
Well, cause at one point, I think it's Garrett Construction, I think he built these houses over here on, you know, he was interested in a few lots along there, and we told him in those meetings, you know, yeah, however many you want, you know, we'll look at it right away. You know, obviously, with how this is designed, it takes, you know, a 3-5 vote, or 3-2 vote minimum to do it, but I think most of us would agree that we would, build houses there, you know, but, yeah.
You're not necessarily wanting to sell the 13 acres altogether, you're willing to split, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Carrie was just told
Yeah, I
just
that, she
texted
said
Cameron.
all of it.
Yeah, then her information's wrong, you
Yeah.
know, so, cause
I think that's why you haven't had any
You guys,
interest.
you guys might need to.
I don't know how she would not know that.
That was my understanding that
Yeah.
if whoever was interested in the property, they needed to provide a
I
plan.
can tell you right now, that
plan
entire
of use.
13 acres is gonna be split up.
Yeah,
I
the
think
plan,
all
they need to
13
provide a
for
plan of use to
$3,000
come
an acre.
in.
Yeah.
So do we come back
Write
and
the check.
talk about it and say what we wanna do, like 3/4 acre lot or 1 acre lot, or, I mean, the carpenter sale is 25,000 for those
Yeah.
five.
Again, I mean, this is just my opinion.
And they don't have
But-
water or sewer.
But I don't like the idea of saying we have 1 acre for sale. I like the idea of making people very aware that, look, here's a 13 acre blank slate. We want to develop this 13 acres in any way that makes sense for this community. And let the creative minds that want to invest the money come to us and say, well, I only need 3 acres for this, and I want 2 acres for this, and tell us what they need, and present us with a general idea of what they're gonna put there, and let's get to work, you know?
I think one of the first things you need to do is have the engineer,
That's what Jacob did.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I'm sorry?
sorry, one of the first things we need to do is get the engineer involved, and he can tell you how many rooftops, whatever it is, that can handle where it's gonna
Yeah.
tie in as well.
Yeah, he's already done all that, we have.
Well, not exactly like that, 'cause,
Yeah.
One in like
in other words, you wouldn't wanna put 100 houses right there.
20-something,
Because the sewer can handle
36
where-
or something.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know how 36 would be the name.
But that whole farm will tie into your sewer lagoon and not have to have a lift station or anything, won't it, David? Most of all of that.
if that pipe that's running by it will handle that, that's my point, is it gonna
Right.
be 3 houses or 40 or what, we need to know that number.
Flow wise, it'll flow. won't it?
Correct, yeah,
Where,
I believe so.
where the grease land around Dairy Mart, some of it wouldn't because.
Right,
If my memory serves me right, he's already looked at the concept of 13 or 14 going in on that far, north
Backside.
end. Yeah.
Just a matter of how many meters,
Yeah.
how many, you know, they go by bathrooms, so how many of them handle.
But when you sell it, are you gonna have to put it to a sealed bid, or how are you gonna have to do it, or auction, or what? Because I don't know that you can just sell it to one person being owned by the city.
Absolutely.
I don't think you can.
Bruce.
I think you can.
Yes.
Ken?
As long as it goes through that
It
office,
has to go
correct?
through the realtor.
Yeah, it has to go through the realtor,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah, if you get
Yeah.
5 bids through the realtor, that's the bidding process, and you accept the bid that you want.
Yeah.
So you can just do it that way and have the highest bidder through the realtor company, but it still has to be bid, kind of, it can't just be, you can't just say,
It can't be an
okay, I'm giving it to
exclusive,
Joe and
Correct.
to hell with y'all. We gotta say, okay, who's gonna pay the most? Well, that's the best interest for the city, and you're not gonna get $27,000 an acre probably for it, you probably just better get ready to take a little less than that, but,
Turn that pond into a big bass farm?
We can get a hold of her tomorrow, make sure.
Yeah.
There's
Make
no
sure
thing-
Ken's-
Yeah,
Let her come
please,
in.
I mean,
Make sure
how
she
she's,
Maybe there's a misunderstanding, I don't know.
I don't know.
I do know she has it listed, there's a sign up, I had asked her about promoting it not too long ago, and she said, well, with the highway being closed, it's kind of hard for people to, you know, it's there, but she is taking.
There's an
small
engineer
steps.
that's working on other projects here in the community that will draw up an exact replica of everything that we're looking for as far as commercial frontage, city hall in the center with residential in the rear, and we can print a huge poster that can just sit here in the main room to show people a conceptual idea of what we
Does
like
that
to
OU
see.
study have that in it?
Huh?
Does that OU study have that in it?
Not for the 13 acres.
Then all be under CK and everybody on OG will be out.
but you could let, I mean, you don't have to say a specific size of a lot or anything. These guys know what they can put their aerobics on, if they don't have the money, don't think it's feasible to build, out sewer right there,
3/4 acres,
3/4.
right?
Yeah, we'd be looking at EPA rules. Jeff should know. 3/4 with 3/4? Yeah.
But that's your decide what they can spend on them and what they can't.
Yeah.
Land, so.
As long as somebody can buy a ride lawnmower, that's what kind of land they're after.
Yeah.
So,
Is the decision making?
So this property right here.
Yes, sir. Okay,
Is there a question, I think I was just reading between the lines there, is there a question that he bought a piece of land, or did he buy a trailer park?
That's debatable.
well, there were trailers there when he bought it.
Yeah.
Condemned trailers when he purchased it.
I don't know if they're condemned, that makes it not a trailer park, I mean,
And I want him to be successful with that property. He bought the property, he spent the money to clean it up, and that's the first person that was willing to invest to do that in decades. We got a blank slate there, but, it's our main street, and.
I don't think there's ever a problem making it commercial if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
I- no,
that's not,
no.
matter of fact, if you look at your, county, assessor's deal, it shows it's commercial residential, is what it says.
Yeah,
Which makes it
yeah.
a trailer park. So, and it also, those roads are, it's actually planted by that. No, it's private roads.
That ash street going through there.
There's streets going both directions through it. If you look at it,
So-
and you can
but
post on it,
I-
and it don't say it belongs to nobody, so that's,
Yeah, I know, and that was a question that I had, when you pull that up, it's two smaller properties with a road running through the middle and on both
and
ends.
the back properties probably, I don't know if they can do anything much with it, that sits right in the creek.
Most of that very end of that property back there by the creek is all flood zone. When the prior owners had it, the trailers that were on that south end on the back,
Mhm.
the flood zone come all the way up and almost clips the back of those trailers.
Yeah.
So,
And if he
going
puts one
forward,
there-
he wouldn't be allowed to put them that far back because of that.
Yeah, you said that the last
Yeah,
meeting.
he cannot put them back there.
And I'm
You
sure
would have
he's
to utilize
letting
that
them
for
do
something else.
But I'm not for not helping him, he's spent a lot of money on that property, he's cleaned it up, it looks a lot better than it did. I don't think the Jacobs have hurt the town at all, but I wouldn't be against even help put fencing on the highway to make it look better. So if you're gonna spend money to help somebody else, if
I
you want the
don't
town.
understand how in the world the commercial frontage property, on that piece of property, isn't worth more to him than a trailer park.
Well, it will be,
Yeah.
if it's not today, it will be, and he may not ever put one there,
Yeah.
you never know, I mean, it'll.
thing is, the neighbor to spread that gravel out.
The commercial, end of it will outpace that, one of these days.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of time, you just can't get in a hurry. And I said that before whenever y'all appointed me, I said, I think the town's grown really well for a little town. We have businesses in this one that you don't see in little towns.
No cafe.
No, you don't. Goddamn old Dairy Mart. But anyway,
They
thank
don't
you.
serve breakfast.
They don't make it
You don't, come on over, you get up 3 in the morning, I'll cook you breakfast.
All right.
So anyway, but, yeah, but I think it's going really well. We have a lot going for us in this town. And it'll be the next hotspot probably if we don't do stupid things and put a bunch of junk where it shouldn't be. Or we'll end up like Wheatland and we'll jump right over our butt and go somewhere else. That's just my opinion, but anyhow. So what do we wanna vote on this?
The way it's worded is consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, or revision, or acceptance of the sale of town property. I mean,
I think we definitely wanna sell it.
yeah, and we table it, but we invite other people that are willing to look at putting an investment there to come along and show us what they wanna do.
Just like for your realtor to be at the next meeting, hopefully she could,
Yeah.
that way
I
she
mean,
could answer some questions for you.
Yeah.
Or you guys.
If she has time, that would be
take
good,
that.
yeah.
I'll reach out to her and see if she can attend the next meeting.
No better way to sell property.
What's that?
And you know, I'm sure Mr. Streeter, did he call you?
Yes.
Mr. Streeter did?
Yes.
So I'm sure he'll be visiting with you, Mr.
He really, said he really wasn't interested in property, but if it was gonna sell that cheap, then he might be.
Well, he told me that he would give,
Yeah.
he told me he'd give 3 times
Yeah.
that, so.
He didn't really want to do anything with it, but
Yeah, he
it was
told
a
me,
good buy if he could
he
get
said,
it.
I don't know that I'd do anything right away with it, but he said, I would eventually, so. Which I don't know that you can put a time limit on people on a lot of things, if it needs a lot of dirt work, and it's gonna need some to build houses, because there's too much water that runs different directions on it, but still, and I still, when you're talking about this property and you want certain things on it, I don't know how much you can dictate what goes on it unless you build it and you lease it to them.
Well, we said it already.
You may zone it that way and it can only
That
be.
was what you was always initially
Yeah.
thought.
But other than that, I don't know that you can dictate exactly what goes on it. I mean.
Yeah. We've already got a survey with it split in thirds, we can bring the drawings, or we can come up with the drawings for that, but, I mean, you.
Zone it at that time, each one of those
Yeah.
tracks, however you.
But, and the
want
only reason we didn't zone it per se, you know, and go ahead and make that split, is because what if that person buying the front end needs an extra, you know, half acre, third of an acre, whatever it is, you know?
I think you can.
Jerry
sell
might want to
homes.
buy it all.
I think you sell it.
Sorghum Mill 2.0. That's Sorghum Mill South.
I think you're gonna sell the back part of it way faster than you probably sell the front.
Yeah.
Because the front's worth way more.
Yeah.
And it's just not,
I think you guys are going about it the right way. I mean, I'm a home builder, so I've looked at the property several times and, you know, I've always got ideas going through my head. I'm not a swing for the fences kind of guy, more first base. So I do things slow, this is me and my wife, but, well, then I've talked to David and Teresa about it a little bit, but, you know, the easiest part would be to develop right across the street from Park Drive.
Yeah.
Put some houses down there to start. Now, I don't really know what the 2 and 3 acres is, I just listened to the last week or whenever you guys were talking about, but interested me to be here tonight. But as far as like dictating how big the lots can be, it's gonna be better, I think, for the town, just to sell 2 or 3 acres like they're doing, because building costs are expensive. It's a lot of money to build a home. And so, but I still think they're, and even 10 acres away, you can build over here, cause I think there's a need for housing. I sold Jack Sanders' house last summer, everybody knows Mr. Sanders, had a storm shelter over here, right? And I had other homes going in Yukon, it wasn't getting a call one on them. And that house there, I get a call every week or 2. You know, when my daughter's going to Union City, we're driving all the way from El Reno, we're driving all the way from, the people that bought it were driving all the way from Okarchi. So, I mean, that tells me as a home builder, they need some rooftops in town. And my way would be is to do rooftops, not, I mean, I think Union City is in a good spot, of growing. You know, you got 152 coming in right here, and it's gonna bring some people to your town, and make more people. But, I like the little town, and I think, as far as, like I said, I mean, I would be interested for sure, but, I would love to be able to put a few houses across the street, see how that goes.
And that's what we were, Mr. Garrett was, Garrett was looking at that, and we were open to that for sure, so.
Yeah.
Did you ever call the realtor?
I did not, no. I didn't really know, I own some lots on Broadway, but it's in a floodplain, there's no utilities there. You know, I bought it for investment. I'll wanna do something with it one day, but we're a custom home builder. We got one going on in Banner right now. We're gonna start one in Minco. We build a few specs around the Mustang Yukon area, but we're mostly built customs, 4 or 5 years all. So like I said, I'm not a, I'm not a Rouse Coleman or something. I was wanting to come over here on the Carroll farm or whatever. I would love to.
I mean, just me thinking, but like, for our community, with where we're at in our school and everything, I mean, it would be better for us as a community to grow into 2 and 3 homes at a time, type atmosphere.
I think that's what it'll be like over
here.
here. I mean, I just sat on 2 homes for 6 months in Yukon, so the housing market has been slow.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we all hear it on the news or whatever, nobody's got a crystal ball, they're talking about bringing the rates down a little bit. That's what we need to spur more housing purchases. I will tell you this, I mean, just knowledge, I do own the 4-plex next door. It does rent pretty fast. I mean, I'm pretty picky, as you can see. Keep that place up nice. It's a future investment for me and my wife, our future. But I do know the current owners of the duplexes that Mr. Streeter bought. And, it takes them a while. I just talked to her, I actually passed people on to her, we're friends. They live over in the Mustang area, but if you guys drive by, there's a for rent sign out there quite a bit. She has it out there. So rentals are a little hard in Union City, but I think actually, like you said, if we grow 2 or 3 homes a year or whatever, a guy might be able to, I think that would be.
Well, you should have bought Banner in 152.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm more of a swing the first base, or get a base hit.
David, I know,
I can't do it.
Remind us and tell him where the utilities do lie on those, if there was to go some 2 or 3 houses going across the street from there.
It would take a bigger water line to go from 81 Park Drive over that way, because that whole place is only on a 4-inch. Sewer is, so the furthest row of houses to the east, if you visualize that, like north and south, sewer is behind it.
It's behind us, okay.
Yeah.
So for a guy buying that property, since there's a lot of specifics, I don't know.
Again, that would depend on
We're gonna be,
what's going there, what that line would handle to, you know what I mean? So,
now I've heard a talk of y'all saying you were gonna upgrade the line for the trailer park, if there was gonna be a trailer, like go from a 6-inch to an 8-inch on the last one. Does that mean y'all are gonna bring
the
water
tentative
to
talk
it,
was
or
that
no?
he would be responsible for that.
Okay.
But then, it was mentioned to pay the difference to increase it to an 8.
Whatever size line he would need, then we would pay the difference to increase it to an 8 to support everything else that we need to go in over there, but.
That would be some specifics, a developer type. Would need to know, cause he's gonna have he's gonna figure out what size lots he's gonna do, and Dave knows probably much more than I do, but, and then he's gonna see what his overall cost per lot is. To see if he can make money and build, cause he knows we can build a house for it, he's gotta figure out. And over here, I mean, I'm guessing you guys probably stay in that 250, between 250, 275 range, that you're gonna be successful, so.
Agreed. I don't know what that last Garrett house
I think it was
brought,
three.
it was 3 or 350,
Right.
but it took longer to sell than some of the others, but the price you're talking at will sell much faster.
Yeah. I know Rouse Coleman, and they build Mustang Yukon, and, they hunt homes starting in the around 250, 240 range. And then go up, and of course over there, they sell like butter, I mean, they go quick, and so you are moving to a little smaller community, a little less people don't wanna drive this far. I mean, I get a lot of ratings, we get a lot of, when we wanna put those for rent, and you say, do you know where Union City is? And they're like, no. A lot of people don't, they live right in Mustang, but there's a lot of new people in Mustang. I've lived in Mustang my whole life. I grew up in this area as well. I mean, I've been living my whole life just about, other people in this room, but, so anyways,
No, we appreciate the input, but, table it, and let people bring back ideas, and then have a realtor here next meeting.
That's what Tom said.
Okay.
You're gonna help him, Dave, or whoever wants to know something about that over there, not necessarily. I know you will.
I don't think he's listening to you.
oh, yeah.
He tried to drive by me the other day, I tried to stop him, he just keeps on mowing, I'm like,
I would pay it.
what the hell did I do today? He was in his zone trying not to get stuck.
Department of Union City Animal Control. Hey, Catnapper.
All right. In order to place a bed, you have to take a kitten, by the way.
There you
By the way, we do have 4 kittens today. Somebody pulled up Dairy Mart, dropped one out, pregnant.
go. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your daughter called me crying, so.
Oh, yeah, my daughter got cats, I said, she said, oh, she had 1 cat. She said, oh, we got a lot of cats now. I said, that's how that works.
But anyway, animal control's been very busy. Down to 1 dog right now, so, and 4 cats. Lots of little calls, usually the police are able to handle and help us, but, other than that, it's going good.
17, Department of Union City Streets and Alleys.
Not much to report other than grass is growing like crazy and it's been really wet, so we started mowing today and we'll be at it for a while. Unfortunately, as you know, most of our mowing is in the right of way, so it's still in the water, part of it. But, we're getting after that ball. Sure, I was gonna flip the tractor today to come get off where and do it, but I didn't, so.
17.
County did a real good job on getting 59th back open quickly, as you know, it washed out on us, but other than that,
Yeah, we got after it that day.
yeah.
It's not been paid back, no.
It's a problem.
And of course, if nobody's seen, then, their asphalting, the county is from 89th and 81 over to Alphaville, and then those 2 miles going north to 59th. There'll be asphalt, not just chips, like we did last year, they straightened out that asphalt. Yeah. So they had to work back. Call me in.
17A, consideration possible approval to deny amendment revision acceptance of authorizing David Jones to hire additional summer help as needed.
We actually approved this a couple of years ago, and I haven't had to do it. But I just wanted to bring it back just in case, because man, we're on a little bit of a strain right now, we're having problems with inmates. The last ones decided to smoke, rolled up, Lysol wipes. That really stinks, you know. And if you Google it, you'd be shocked what it does to your brain. Right now, I have one really good guy, hoping to get another. May not have to happen, I just wanted to cover myself. Like I said, we approved it a couple of years ago, and if it gets to the point where there's not any good ones, I don't like to put anybody on a $15,000 lawnmower, you know.
Are these,
If we had to do a quick hire on some part-time.
are these part-time?
Yeah, it would only be a part-time as needed,
Are you good with hiring high schoolers or no?
we have to look, at one point, didn't it have to be 18 years old? Or 18?
Really?
I would be, no problem, because I was one of the high schoolers that did it kind of stuff, but, and I wish we could, but our insurance, last time we checked them out, they had to be 18 or above. And we did the 12 to 15 range, can't go over 32 hours. But I'm not gonna hire unless I have to, but I don't wanna be in a bind, and everything broke on us, because 2 of us cannot do it, and all the other stuff that goes along with it, you know? So it's just a matter of more for information, because you've already approved it once, but if you wanna reapprove, whatever, but, worst case scenario, I don't get any guys, because they are getting harder to get, because they're trying to push them out further and further to get paying jobs. I think y'all doing the same.
Oh, yeah, they can go make $20 an hour in a transmission place. You know,
Right,
They don't
they
want to
don't
come
want-
work for us for almost nothing, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
For chicken feed, I mean, it's, yeah, and the ones you get are just like you say.
It's hit and miss. I've never been through so many as I have this year. This is what, May, and I got a deal that thick already. So I've been taking them back, or they've been here 2 days and they get a real job, or they get shipped or whatever, so. It's becoming a pain, time you get them trained and leave. It's just a matter of if we can't get them and I get
And
the
these will
fine.
just be temporary for summer only.
Sure, yeah,
We'll make sure that
or
they-
maybe even a week or
they
2
know that.
only, whatever the case,
Yeah.
you know. This is as needed, or if I have to need it.
That 18-year-old sucks, because that's perfect for some of the.
Oh, would be, I'd love to have a couple 16-year-old boys that are sitting around doing nothing, whatever, you know, and we will double check that, but last time we checked, I'm pretty sure they come back having to be 18.
Yeah.
So do you pay them out of the street now, Lee?
It would probably, I think it would have to come out general, wouldn't it, which is under street now, technically. Street now is inside of general, it doesn't have its own account. I mean, it does, but it's but it's written out there.
We have a hard time keeping up with all of it. I know that, so I don't know that you ought to be held to a week or two or whatever, if you need to make the time look good, and
Right, and they'll be made aware it's not a permanent thing, or just a as needed help thing, or whatever. I mean, even in the past, we've got off-duty police officers come help, so, but
Really
that's what we have to
more?
put them back in.
put light on, they got a light on it, don't they?
I just make holes back there.
It's all right, Chad had to get me unstuck, I got stuck in Keith's alley, that big old hole there.
Yeah, I was trying to take a nice nap, and I got my 12-year-old texting me pictures of Jimmy in my
You
yard.
got pictures? I'm gonna get him if he took pictures.
You know where they dug up that gas line?
No, it was right by the clean out by the sewer there. I'm just mowing lawn and it didn't look very wet, but I cut a donut real hard and it goes boom. I said, oh man, hey Chad, what you doing? He said, I'll come pull you out. I said, you can't move it.
Right now, we got two mowing and one throwing around with the mule, with the strap, so you know they're gonna be stuck, but,
I think it's already been approved and just, you know, your discretion, just make it make sense if you need it.
Well, that was 2 years ago, though.
Yeah. Huh?
That was 2 years, we probably did it.
We can make a fresh motion if we need to.
I'll make it.
Have a motion to hire someone?
Yes, I'll make that.
Before we
motion.
start,
We
man.
included.
it kind of depends, the last time we did it, we said in the range of 12 to 15, so.
No more than 30, is that what you said for the two? Is that what you
Right,
said?
well, it'd be per person, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're hiring 2 people?
If needed, maybe one, maybe two,
No, that's
but
okay.
if I lose the inmates completely, I'll probably need at least 2.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion to allow David to hire somebody else.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
At $15 an hour.
$12 to $15 an hour, I need to add that.
Yeah. Hopefully that fits it.
What you got as a motion?
Jimmy motion to hire up to 2 hires for no more than 30 hours each at,
No, $30 for the pair,
Yeah,
15
15.
each.
I'll look at 30 hours.
15 each, yeah.
They can work 32 hours,
Huh?
they can work 32 and still be
30,
considered part-time.
32,
I'll look it up.
no more than 30 hours.
They can work up to 1,040 hours and still be considered part-time or temporary.
Good.
You can work them 1,000 hours a year. Yep. That's how I got started.
We just do 1,000 hours straight, that ever comes summer, eh?
Yeah, you can work them a long time, temporary. I worked from April to December at the county in '89 for temporary, or they put me on.
Read that again, please.
Jimmy motion for David, to allow David to hire up to 2 hires to work with no more than 32 hours at $12 to $15 an hour each,
At David's discretion.
at David's discretion.
And we have a second, right?
Yes, I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No bikinis, because the girls in the office can't wear anything.
Man, the county on North, she's been wanting to.
Number 18, Department of Union City Town Clerk and Town Treasurer. No action?
Now, actually,
She said she was
17 drinking.
She'll be back next Monday.
feeling better.
I bet you're very feeling better. Since, after being off that long.
Number 18, Union City Park improvements. Consideration of possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or the acceptance of town assisting Union City School of financial assistance to repair school board and park improvements.
Okay, so it coincidentally worked out kind of perfect for tonight's meeting. As we briefly discussed in the last couple of meetings, I approached Bank First, the president of Bank First, with seeing how much interest they had in helping us cover some of the costs to, replace the scoreboard altogether from the damage from the windstorm. JP called back today and said that he cannot get a full, like, half cost or full cost replacement for the scoreboard. What he can do is he can agree to, if our attorney can draw up a simple one-page agreement, you know, keep it as simple as we can, for them to, write a check to the town for $1,000 per year for a length of either 10 years or 15 years, it's up to us. And so the cost of the scoreboard, and I apologize, I should have brought the quotes and stuff to you guys, and I can get all that. It's around $16,000, a little over $16,000 for the cost of the scoreboard, and then we have to find someone to install it. But then, like I said, they would pay us back over a 15-year period. The life expectancy of the scoreboard that's just simple maintenance and upkeep, you know, if anytime something goes wrong, is between 20 and 25 years is the life of the scoreboard. And they would, and he was willing to commit to up to 15 years at $1,000 per year for them to be the sole, advertiser, sponsor of the scoreboard. So, if y'all are open to that.
So is the booster club gonna put some money in too?
No, if we can get that done, my idea is that the town, we use our capital improvement fund to cover the cost of the full amount of the board and allow them to use the booster club money to cover the sprinkler systems and all the other upgrades that they're working on. So for that, we would be getting basically a full return on the cost of that scoreboard over the life of, you know, over 15 years. But it's not a money-making deal, it's an everybody, you know, everybody giving a little bit to.
That's the bank does, under.
Yeah, and what I briefly, I haven't had a chance to really talk to Carrie, I talked to Griggs, and just through text messages, is that the school, and I even reached out to a couple board members for the school as well, that, if the town pays for the full cost of it, and then we get an agreement between us and Bank First, for Bank First to write a check back for $1,000 per year for 15 years, then the school would be responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of that board during that time. And as we had kind of discussed, Carrie, and Teresa, would you ever want to find in that agreement? I know we recently talked about you finding the agreement.
I found a blank one, but I did not find
One that was signed.
I found a
So,
blank one.
one thing that I tried to handle with Nick Gloves was asking Bank First and asking anyone that I could, trying to find out what old agreements are in place. It's our understanding that the schools had, had insurance over some of the structures there, but the deductible was like $25,000.
And I
So.
think it came back quoted as either 16 or 18.
Yeah, it's like around 16 plus, and then we'll have to figure out someone to install it,
Right.
so.
We can
King Electric
take
do the
care of
best.
that.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what's
What
that?
did King charge last time?
I don't know,
It was, if my memory serves me, for them to take it down and move it and put it back up was around $7,000 or $8,000, I think. Could've been $6,000 or $7,000.
that's because they had to run electric a long ways. I would
Is
think
it?
maybe that.
Okay, that's
already
already been a
electric
big
there,
portion of
right?
it,
So,
yeah.
I mean, maybe it would be so that.
Yeah.
Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, but we wanted to, sandblast and paint those poles, which a number of volunteers could probably help with that, before we went back up with the new ones, take the old one down, sandblast and paint those poles, and then put the new one up so that everything has a fresh coat of paint on it and everything.
Well, that one, school boards that has the painted on numbers, just hang it up there.
Yeah.
Have a person walk.
Yeah, flip it, yeah.
So we table it until we get,
Yeah,
You want,
if y'all.
you want to draft the agreement ready to,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So, kind of ties into our discussion earlier with, surveying, because I'm assuming we don't want to do that 3 acres just yet now. But I did have him gonna survey the ballpark for the legals. If you remember, we were talking about, so the
Yeah.
agreement needs to have the legals, do we still want to do
And
that?
that's another thing, and I haven't reached out to you guys about that, Carrie, but when you pull up, and I don't have a ton of access to legals, but when you pull up the baseball park, the outfield, basically center field and most of right field, shows to be owned by a booster club. Do you know anything about that, by chance?
Is it the ag, what's the junior
Well,
booster
let's see what
club?
it's
Ag
named
junior
as.
boosters, yes.
Yeah, Junior Booster Club, wow, it's
Yes.
worded. And I mean, who knows?
And I think the park is also owned by them. It was donated originally by a family for the junior boosters,
Okay.
way before my time, but,
Well, and it's weird, cause, so the land that you're describing is the park area.
Right.
It's, you know, one of the concepts we had with developing all of that was
Right.
to take that park and move it back there by Parkside where it makes more sense for it to be.
Right.
And then making that, you know, a commercial property. But it was told to us by Gina that was originally donated by a family for park
Yes.
use only, and we didn't have the rights to
well, we were told,
relocate that, but.
because we were gonna go in as, just back when it was, I think it was still junior boosters, or it was, and do something different with that, and that's what we were told, is if we did something to the park and removed the park, we would lose, it would forfeit back to the family.
On the legals that I have, when you pull that up, it shows to all be owned by the town of Union City on the
Yeah.
park side. And then that junior booster club shows to own center field and right field, which
Is that still a thing?
Well, and it makes sense though, because
Junior
before
Bridge Road?
the seventies, it was
No,
flip-flop.
how would that-
yeah.
Before the tornado, the home plate and everything was out there, and
Oh.
it was totally flipped.
Interesting, yeah.
So that may be why they owned the outfield instead of,
Huh. Yeah.
How would that, there's not such a thing now, is there, the Junior Butcher Club?
no, it dissolved and moved into park and recreation. All the money
So-
was moved from there into start park and
But
recreation.
because we don't have any real, I mean, unless you guys can find something, nobody seems to have any copies of any lease agreements that were signed or anything that we've been able to find so far. And so, Mr. Attorney, we would like to update that. I mean, we want to keep it, we tentatively talked about $1 per year for the school to lease that land from the town. I'm not an expert on how it helps shift the liabilities from the town to the school or vice versa, or how any of that works, but there was originally supposed to be an agreement, and nobody can find a copy of any of that.
I have it, I just don't have
Yeah.
it signed. I
Yeah.
can't find a signed one.
Can you provide that to him? And
I'll
can you
send-
kind of
I'll
look at
send-
that?
I'll
We
send
wanna,
what had.
we just
It'd
wanna,
be in file.
we wanna freshen that up, just to make sure everything's right and get some actual signatures on it, make sure the school has copies and the town has copies. And then again, a one-page agreement between us and Bank First, that they will pay a price of, $1,000 per year for a term of 15 years.
They pay that to the city.
Yes,
Okay.
to the town, cause the
Yeah.
town's gonna, and we'll want that money to go back into the capital improvement fund each year. If you guys are open to that, that's kind of the main thing, there's no reason to work on it if you guys aren't open to it, but I think it's a win-win for everyone, but.
I mean, you also get into, like, somebody wants to rent the town park,
Mhm.
who gets the money for it, school or us?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, they're just leased the field itself, right?
yeah.
But then they, like
Again, I don't know anything,
Is this
I would love
something-
to see how the old agreement was, I don't have a clue.
When somebody
how
calls
that-
and asks me about that, I say,
Yeah.
oh, go tell Paul, I don't know anything about that.
I'll read it.
Why can't you just go ahead and pass that, you know pretty much the prices and everything?
Yeah,
And if the, putting it up, installing it,
Mhm.
is way too high, above what you think it is,
Yeah.
then you come back and you do it different, but if not, you're just gonna come back
Well-
and rehash it.
Yeah, we can
She
pay for
thinks they
prices.
can pay for the
Yeah,
price
we
of the
can pay for
installation.
the installation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, well.
we cover the cost of the.
You want me to get a hold
cost
of
of
King, or y'all
the-
wanna do it, I can get an estimate for you,
Yeah, whatever, I mean, that's who we wanna use, so that's
Yeah.
great.
I'll call Tweedy.
I don't want the town to issue the scoreboard company a purchase order until we have the agreement signed by Bank First, that's my main thing.
Right.
So, once he creates the agreement, and then we can review that, if you can have that done before next meeting, then we can all review that.
Still hadn't answered, does that agreement need to have the legals?
To be on the safe side, it would be good to have it.
That's what it said last, for the ballpark.
Yes.
And that way we can say, okay,
I realize.
Anything is out here.
And these
I'm
are
just
kind of
asking,
two separate things. The agreement between the town and the school is one agreement, and the agreement between the town and Bank First for the scoreboard is a
Yeah.
separate one.
Right.
So we can wait on the one between us and the school until the legals are provided, and then we can work on the one between Bank First
Right.
and us
Okay.
first. And I would prefer to table, like, us voting on it till I have here, and I have all the quotes that I can provide all you guys, and you can look at everything. And then we can make a motion on it, if you don't, that's how I prefer to do it. And then I requested to be on the school board agenda for this meeting, if I can't make it, if they can't get me on there for this meeting, when I go to the next one, just to make sure that all the school board members are aware of what the commitment is, and make sure that they're good with it as well, that way that all parties involved are giving us the nod.
Cause Riverview Bacon now want a big sign out front.
Hey, all, for the record, all businesses can buy advertisement space along the outfield for around $1,000 for 5 years, I believe it is, so there's plenty of advertisement space out there in the outfield for anybody that wants to add to it. Okay, we good?
Alright, table 18A. 18B, use tax increase ordinance. Consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or the acceptance of ordinance number 364, amending use tax from 3% to 4.5% to the same as sales tax rate.
This was recommended by Oklahoma Tax Commission. When the sales tax went up, the use tax should have went up as well, because they matched. Is that because we didn't have that in that ordinance?
Explain what it is now.
So basically, the use tax was set in ordinance at 3%, and the tax commission said we should have had it in the ordinance where it automatically updates with the sales tax, which ours did not. So this ordinance updates it from the old 3%, which was behind from a previous tax increase, to match current sales tax of 4.5.
And that's basically things that we're sending from somebody that doesn't charge taxes in there, like online or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, we get use tax like anytime a builder builds
Products delivered.
and products
Some
are
oil
delivered.
field stuff
Yeah.
too, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I don't have a problem with that at all. It ought to match what everybody else has at rates, brick and mortar, in my opinion, so.
Any motion?
I make a motion we approve 18B for consideration and approval of ordinance number, I'm sorry, I didn't write down the number.
364.
364, to amend tax from 3% to 4.5% to be the same as sales tax rate.
Motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 He's
Motion
gonna hold
carries.
out on it.
Huh?
Thought he was gonna hold out.
Well, when was that going into effect?
July 1st is,
When
well, I
you're
don't know.
talking
This
about
one will
That's
not,
not
because we didn't get it
Yeah,
soon
so it'll be
time.
October,
first.
that one will be October, the sales tax rate will be in effect.
My budget's passed, I didn't bring mine.
I didn't bring that either. I'll look it over.
19, Department of Union City Human Resources, no action. Number 20, Department of Union City Payroll,
Getting paid.
no action.
Adam done a phenomenal job
Attaboy.
taking care of payroll. We appreciate it.
My pen almost ran out of ink today, signed so many checks.
You are the one that did it, I was gonna ask that question since Bob wasn't here.
I was only here 15 times a day.
Every time you drove by, you just stop at, what do you need now? We appreciate it.
All right, 21, Department of Union City Deputy Court Clerk.
You guys have my report.
Ooh, 74.
Late fees and cutoffs were up this month, huh?
They were indeed.
Well, I forgot all about it. Is that one of those? I don't know, Lord.
Do we
I
still
don't
get a
think
list
so,
of,
you come and see where.
we don't get a list of those anymore?
No,
I kinda enjoyed that.
so make a list for that. Late fees, cut-offs.
Yeah, we like to have that list, so we can just, I guess, next meeting time. Or do you want a copy of this one? Okay.
Do you want this one?
No, just next, you want both, or just next month?
just-
Just next month, so we can review that, please. The board kinda needs that every month moving forward.
Okay.
What exactly is the fifth bullet point under May 2025 ticket? What is exactly, what are we saying there? Ran, I got a lot.
The warrants are scanned in, since we're going paperless, we have still paper warrants in the cabinet. So you got those scanned in on Thursday or Friday, so we're partially halfway there to paperless.
Alright, thank you.
On the collection side of tickets, I know the state was making changes to all that stuff, has all that kind of been finalized, is those changes in place now, is that improving, is it staying, is it getting worse?
It's up.
Yeah. So that number of hours is growing, and we have limited options, more limited options now than what we previously did?
So, it's a longer process. I wouldn't say that it's more or less, but it's a longer process. So we have to give them like 4 opportunities to come to court before we can start collecting from them.
But what about the past ones that are older than that, like as far as issuing warrants for
During
them?
collection.
Huh?
During collection.
Yeah. And do we keep a running tab of what that total amount is?
Yes.
And it's upwards of 2 million, right?
Yes.
That's over 2 million
Yes.
at this point? I was curious, like, our auditor and tax side of that stuff, like, is that, I mean, because in private line work, we're able to eventually write that stuff off and, you know, count that as losses. They don't allow that in the city, I assume, tax stuff. What's being discussed is over $2 million in tickets that's owed to the town of Union City that's never been paid, and probably will never be paid. Huh?
And we've cleared out a bunch of warrants that, you know, we look at them and they're frequent flyers, we arrest them and they don't pay 17 times, and the judge is just in the mindset, just waive all the fees and let them go, because we're never gonna get anything out of them, and they're gonna be in and out of jail the rest of their life. We're gonna keep paying on it, so.
But that's the money we should write off to the IRS.
The problem is, like, those people,
There's real costs
there's
associated
not
with
there's
hauling.
not a way to do a tax intercept on them because they don't have
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah.
Did you read the rest of that in there?
There was bullet points where you're having some issues.
On the last one,
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, last 5. Where you're
so
expressing some frustration. Have you talked to Bob about this?
I have talked to Bob and I've given him documents, to help with temporary passwords just for now, being that I am paying the bill. He told me that that was not going to be back because she's the only one on the account, because she is treasurer. It has taken me hours on hours of finding every password or every login, getting it changed and having to pay the bills, not knowing if there's any more bills out there. I don't know if there's more bills that could be paid out there. I've had to research and find every bill that has come into this facility with the help of Chief Taylor. And I believe that 2 people should be on the account. So we don't have a issue where if she were to go pass away, or if there was an accident, then we're locked out of the account.
They won't even talk to her because she's not listed on the account, and she's trying to pay bills.
Like the life insurance policy one, and then there's, there was several, credit card things that need to be cleared up.
Gotcha. Has anyone talked, like, what's Bob's supportive of only having one? I'm sure there's a reason behind this, I don't know.
Bob has literally told Michelle to stop talking to us. I usually can get him to respond to emails, but it's very not so urgent, but I need to get these bills paid. So, at this point, I'm stuck.
I'll contact Bob tomorrow, there's gotta be a reason behind that.
We'll flip
Truth
flop
is,
and
there
put
needs
it-
to be 2 people on
2
every
million.
account.
We'll flip flop and put the 2 million in.
Yeah.
If one person has an accident or anything, or walks out because they're mad or whatever, then the whole town's locked down.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
I just need to
Don't make
better
no sense.
I just need to better understand both points of view, I guess, for me.
Well, thank you for doing what you're doing. We'll try to get some answers.
Any more discussion? Thank you. 22, Town of Union City budget. Consideration of possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or the acceptance of 2025, 2026 budget.
When is this due by?
Today,
Huh?
As soon as possible.
the new budget starts July 1st.
Here is a
So we did by, on the June meeting, it would be soon.
email from John
No.
on that.
No, we can get it done.
Don't say y'all didn't bring your packet.
I did not.
I did not.
I looked.
Hey, did you read that?
What?
Yeah, what I handed.
Oh, sorry.
It's like a pathway amongst the peers. Basically says it went over the budgets, and it appeared good on the police side.
On those first two pages, it's the roll-up, I kinda made it where you can lay it out from those two pages and see the entire company. So, on the left-hand side is the general fund, projected revenue, projected expenditures. And under the expenditures, you can see where each department falls under that. The bottom line, it just shows that, a total net of around 1.2 million. Everything rolls out of general fund except municipal, it's its own company. But from the general fund, all the revenues into the general fund, expenditures out of the general fund go to the other departments.
Our current transfer to you per month right now is
82.5, which is a 9% decrease over the last 3 years.
From last year?
Over the last 3 years.
Oh, 3 years.
7% from last year.
Increase.
Decrease.
Decrease.
My current budget this year is a decrease from the previous year.
Did you show last year's and this year's, or am I just not seeing it?
Yeah.
I thought I saw those in the,
Well, on that part, no.
yeah, I think I saw it on the other one, but, so you have 7% decrease this year.
Yeah, so,
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but you have to remember, we passed a tax now that's gonna allow them to have extra income.
yeah, but that's outside of the covered funds.
When is that supposed to take place?
July 1st.
No, everything's July first.
So, 2023 revenue, 2024 revenue, and this is the proposed for this year. So,
It's still gonna be in 23, isn't it?
yes.
Come down,
It
we'll get with you.
just kind of breaks it down. Because this was 21, 22, 22, 23, took a 2% decrease, took a 7% decrease, so it's had a 9% over the last 3 years. While fighting a 19.8% inflation. So I'm only asking this year for 3.8% more than what I got this year.
Yeah, it's still 7% less than last year.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. That looks for me.
So explain to me, so I fully understand, as that tax revenue starts to come in, on that extra tax that was passed. In my eyes, that should help offset some of the pressure off of our general fund and take that pressure away from us. So the money you're asking for is obviously 92, from general is 93,000 per month.
That's operating expenses, yes.
Yeah.
The sales tax is to fund equipment,
And training.
stuff like incentive pay stuff, mainly equipment, because I have to replace my vehicles or I'm gonna keep waiting.
And you have funds for this specific bill that we passed, that half cent, right?
It will be in its own fund.
It will be its own fund.
But your total expenses you're projecting for next year is going to 1.5 million?
Total, yes.
That's up from what, 1.2 1 or 1.2. And none of these numbers include the tax that, as
Can't
far as
budget the
income.
tax,
Yeah,
cannot budget the tax.
but that's why I
For
gotta,
funds that are
Our tax,
unencumbered.
our monthly tax would be?
One
well,
point
the one,
three.
you don't know what that amount's gonna be.
One
each month,
point-
and
1.3 this year so far, 10 months.
yeah. 1.5 will be the largest amount of money this town's ever spent on a police department.
Not exactly.
Yeah, it was a lot higher. all the time
Not
ago.
exactly.
What was? What did it say?
In 2023,
Very sure, very sure.
in 2023, it was 1,593,000. I'm asking for 1,543,000.
All right.
And technically, from the general fund, I'm only asking for 1.1 million. And 875,000 of that goes back to the general fund because it's payroll reimbursement. So,
It's up to you guys, we don't have to have this approved until next meeting, so we could table it until all.
It is, but I will be here to discuss it with you.
Oh, yeah. Attorney said he reviewed it.
You don't have what he has, show me what you should have.
Well, I read it, and I understand the numbers. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money with a surplus. The general fund still has a surplus. Everything still has a surplus, like 1.2 net.
Yeah, we may owe all that taxes, that's what I'm concerned with. That's not all, I mean, we don't know, I mean, yeah, we don't. Wish I had all that information too.
I thought, speaking of,
Yeah, what's the update on that?
We're getting money back from the IRS, like
Hey.
$71,000.
For this year, yeah.
what about the auditor? She said
21
she
for
said she'd be
21.
done in June.
Mhm. I'd like to have them all done, so you can do a budget for next year, if you don't know what you got, or what you're.
Yeah, that's what makes it so tough, and I'm not, I
But
want.
you're not gonna know that, so
I
it doesn't
want,
matter.
well,
I mean, you do the same thing you've done for 4 or 5 years, if you pass the damn thing, go on with that, all.
That's Nancy Pelosi's way of doing it.
That's the way we've done it.
Yeah.
I ain't saying it's anybody's fault, but it sure didn't get done. And I don't really like, I'm not comfortable sitting on something where you don't get audited, so. I'm here, and I won't be here, but. I wouldn't give him who did anything until it got done. That's just the way I work.
Any more discussion?
I don't know what it is supposed to, if the whole balances out like it's supposed to, is it?
Again, it's not,
Positive.
Adam does a good job every year, I don't have any complaints on that, it's, for me, it's just the concern with the total cost of what we're approving in the situation that we're in until we have stuff back from the auditors. But,
I just wouldn't have it back, and then what we do.
So the budget can be amended every single month if we have to.
And I don't mind saying it, Adam's sharper at this than I am, for sure, so, anyway. And he sees it every day where I don't, so. And I told him the other day, I I said, yeah, some people think you make a lot of too much money. And he looked at me funny, I said, well, I said, I don't think that, I checked around and I don't necessarily think that you do. And I think you wear a lot of hats and help a lot. And-
Well, he took a cut to hire somebody when he first got it.
Yeah, and not just him, David does too, everybody does.
Well, he took a cut for his department, when we hired him.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not opposed per se to the budget being fluid and for the amount, if that's what it costs to do business, that's what it costs to do business. What I would like to see is some type of budget that, based on what that tax amount is that comes in, we subtract that from what the general owes.
Can't, it's a limited use fund, you cannot budget and come to
But
those
but
funds.
you say that, but the items that you're gonna use that limited use fund are in this budget.
No, they're not, as projects. So, for instance, I budgeted $210,000 for vehicles purchase and maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
So I can spend $210,000 on vehicle purchase and maintenance.
Right.
But there's another vehicle that I can get for $42,000, and there's $42,000, my portion of that tax fund, I can request to use that money to purchase that outside of the line item. It's limited use, so you cannot encumber those funds.
We can limit the amount of money we pay you.
You can, but that takes away from operating expenses.
I understand what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, I don't know how you can get it done exactly.
Yeah.
And he does too, he understands, he wants to see you bring in more money and us pay more.
Take pressure off.
However that does,
Take
but
pressure
you
off.
can't write tickets to do it. You
No,
can't say you're doing that.
I'll never say I want that done, ever.
You can't take it out of the tax except for.
But if that money can be applied towards, items that are in the budget, again, I would like to see that money, somehow the general fund saves the money, we've had so much
Yeah, I
pressure on
mean,
the general fund for so long that.
If the money's there and I can purchase a vehicle out of that fund, yeah, why wouldn't I?
Mhm. We, as a community, really, I mean, we want you to have your own bank accounts, and we want that balance to be growing each year, and you to be self-sufficient in as many areas as possible, but at the same time, like, you know, we're never gonna meet our goals as a community in building new city halls and doing the things we need to do if we don't.
Build
if we-
rooftops,
Huh?
build rooftops.
No, the city doesn't make a lot of money off rooftops.
Just tax,
The-
just
just-
voting,
just-
voters.
Just business taxes, this town makes some money.
Can't bring any
Also,
business.
one thing, on the general fund, on your revenues, city use tax is at $374,000, that's an average of this year. You just approved to make that 4.5%, which is, that number goes up to about 560,
And that's what you need.
Just keep that in mind.
It's up to you guys, I'm just one vote, I would like
Just some
to,
drilling permits, Steve.
those eventually run out, everything's gonna get drilled up, we're not gonna be able to make money off those forever.
Well, like you, Keith, I think that's a huge budget for a little bitty town, there's no doubt about that, in my opinion, but you look at the sales tax compared to other towns, and we get a lot more sales tax than any town our size.
Yeah, but I also don't wanna spend every dollar I make, you know, that's
Well,
the thing.
no, and I agree that there's gotta be some sort of limit on some things, you know. But you said it before, to hire good people, you have to pay.
No, I understand, I'm just,
And so, that's a huge part of their budget, is that.
it's a huge cost.
It is. But you can look at any city or town, and the police and fire departments don't make money, you know. It's a service. I'm not arguing with you, I don't see anything in here that I would say that that far out of ordinary. I mean, you see a 7% decrease in,
Yeah, we had to do that to stack more cash for what we have, could potentially come, we don't know. And she could be just setting a fear factor in us, I have no clue. We won't know till we have the final.
and what's your rollover this year? I'm sure it's here, but you're gonna roll over.
Around 300,000, including taxes, or not taxes, but sweep income that accrues over the year, total about 307. Rollover will be about 260, 275.
So, you know, you just go budget from last year.
So I'm 150 under budget.
And you know, generally in government, they cut people's budgets whenever they have a rollover. But I'll tell you what that creates people spending every penny they got, and then trying to spend more, or showing a need that they don't really have. And everybody inflates everything. And if you have somebody that you think's very honest, then you need to go with them, because if you don't, he's gonna do it the other way, I can guarantee you. And you're gonna be flat broke at the end of that, he's gonna be needing some more damn money. And lay somebody off at the end of it for a few days, cause he ain't got enough money to pay him, that's how it works in government. And at every level it does. So. I think that's a lot of money, you know. I think every damn thing's a lot of money nowadays, cause I'm getting old, so, anyhow.
Is that a motion?
What? I vote to accept the 25-26.
Motion, I hear a second. And a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Sustain.
Aye. Motion passed.
Back to 14, sure, I think.
That included municipal budget as well.
It was all.
So it's 22,
That's done.
22A,
B, C, and D.
B, C, and D, alright?
Yeah.
Good. Number 14. Capital Improvement Building Project. Consideration and possible approval, denial, amendment, revision, or the acceptance of proposed building project at Town Hall may be discussed in conjunction with budgets from item 22.
Alright, so this is a plan that we came up with, for some improvements here, including, an add-on new courtroom that would double as a community safe room, a remodel of this front office, more space. So the way that it is set up,
It's not gonna be a safer room, is
it will be a FEMA certified safe room. So the way that we looked at it, with capital improvement accounts growing, we could use the average income to capital improvement, which is about $20,000, and put that monthly towards, renovations as we go. So it doesn't have to be an all-at-once type expense. We can work on it as we go. So basically, foundation, building of the safe room, all of that estimated about $120,000. Building out the building, framing of the building, be about $190,000, move as we go. So funding wise, initial investment, we estimated $120,000 out of capital improvement, with 6 to 9 months of like a monthly income to capital improvement going towards that, and then a investment from the municipal authority for the remodel of this office, since it's municipal offices, of $170. And again, the rest of it pay as we go. again, this is a project that obviously we would go out for bid, get better prices. This is all estimated stuff at this point. But we gotta start somewhere.
You build city halls?
No.
Okay. Is there any grant monies available for,
Yeah,
to make it a safe room?
we think we can get
facility?
a reimbursement grant for the safe room portion. Unfortunately, I've looked at different grants and loans. I don't like loans, but grants specifically through USDA, and we just don't qualify. Our median income in Union City is too high to qualify for the grants for USDA.
Is that per, like, per citizen capita, or? They're taking account for them 72 late fees.
Do what?
They're taking account for them 72 late fees,
Yeah.
three cut-offs.
Spending any money right now until,
I agree.
until we figure it out.
And that is upgrading this building right here, correct?
Part of it would be upgrading, yes. The first step that we wanted to do was lay the slab, build a safe room, so we have a working courtroom. That's also a safe room, and then a remodel of this portion would add 2 more offices in here, so that they're not sitting on top of each other. And they actually have storage space to keep those long-term records that we don't want to keep.
So if we someday do build that over there, so what's your intentions of this staying here or moving there?
Honestly, my thought is we should keep the building here, simply because, I mean, what else do you have to do? I think building a new building over there would be something more along the lines of like a community center. But everything town hall related is right here and always has been. I don't see any reason to up and move this entire facility.
I agree with you on that, but I already before you all go, but I'm gonna say that until we get some audits done, I'd rather not do anything.
Well, like I said, capital improvement is one of those slush funds, if you will, so this is just a project recommendation that we can maybe work on in the future, but.
I think you did a good job, man, I looked it over earlier, and, you know, and I like that idea myself, building it here, but moving it.
What happened to the Christmas tree?
and put
It
on-
would have to be moved.
Big factor.
Bring another one.
Yeah, I agree with James, I want to write a check for $2 million to build all new facilities or, you know, do something, but until we have the audit stuff back, I just don't feel comfortable. I mean,
Yeah, I'd like to get even on the right year of our audits before we do anything, I mean, that's just how I do business, I don't wanna do it two years back or anything like that, so. Anyway,
Well, that's a great design.
it's
a great design, I like
It is, I think you did a good job of it, and I don't mind it being here at all. So,
He's taking the first step, for sure.
yeah, somebody's gonna do it, just like that land, somebody's gonna have a plan. So. And somebody like us has to know about the plan, and not just the engineer, you know. What are we gonna do? May take a little more time, we may have to have one of those, deals where we all get together and meet and just talk about stuff. figure out what we're gonna do, or get those ideas from him, but he just throws them out there and says for sale, and then,
That ought to leave the fire department if he's got dispatch in here. For Pappard to come in, and they pay us to stay here.
They might, they're dispatching in El Reno right now.
Yeah, they're needing one.
Yeah.
well, I wish they would still stay down here, that's a good deal for them. But my wife's tired, she said, cancel my subscription, because if you're not staying in town, I'm not paying, we got health insurance, we're calling the ambulance, so you're coming from out of town, but anyway.
Thoughts or discussions, anyone?
So,
We can keep working on it.
Table?
table, you can deny it for now, that's what we're gonna do.
I would definitely like to be done with the audit stuff.
I think we didn't, I make a motion to deny it for the time being.
We have a motion and a.
I'll second that.
We have a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I'll sleep over here, are you, Bruce?
Nope. Okay.
Too cold.
See my notes?
Better not take it out. We're 23 executive session, no action.
We didn't need to do all of these separately, or?
Every one of them has to be read, the motions have to be made, if that's how they wrote it on the agenda, is my understanding.
And the motion was to approve A, B, C, and D.
Oh, okay, is that how it's worded in the first one?
Yes.
That wasn't how the motion was
No.
made.
And I asked the question.
Me too.
You would like
So
to
we
make
may
a
have to, he needs to update that motion, correct, to include
That'd be the better way.
A, B, C, and D.
I make a motion that we pass, accept the 25-26 budget for the general fund, 22A. Also for, I need to make a separate one for each one.
Yeah, you can just include them all, just so to keep
And
reading them all.
22B, police department, 25-26 budget, 22C, fire department, 25-26 budget, 22D, municipal authority, 25-26 budget.
I have a motion. I have a second. Second, all those in favor?
And I still sustain.
Aye. Motion carried. All right. 24. Mayor and trustee reports. This item is for informational purpose only, no action will be taken. I don't have anything. Bobby's got a snippet.
Just got the trash day coming up, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I told him to take some antibiotics.
And the garage. You're sending out a mailer for the big trash in the garage sale.
Welfare check.
And we'll try to get it out on Facebook starting tomorrow.
Okay, I did already make one post, but just update it.
We'll just keep pushing it.
What's that, the garage sale and the bulk?
And the
Just make sure they're doing a mailer. What was the
The
mailer?
bulk, I'm sorry.
Yeah, for both trash and the garage, so make
And
sure
I'll
they're
make
doing a
them
mailer.
knock on some doors to help them.
Encourage.
For some encouragement.
Well, he's gonna have a sign for that,
Yeah.
for the bulk trash day.
We'd have to decide, if you want to do two, I mean, I could do one just for June and do another for whatever.
Yeah, that might
You know,
be a
take
good
two
idea.
different ones
Yeah,
or something.
that might be a good idea,
The
yeah.
school's also willing to put it on their market as well.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a better.
It was back the other day.
When we talked about the parks earlier, baseball park and all, that reminded me that one meeting we had, we talked about getting signage for the parks as far as the place.
Yeah, I've really wanted to do that for a long time, but I'm just trying to save money right now. That's all I can think about.
We didn't worry about that when I was a kid.
Huh?
We So we didn't worry about that one.
Well, there are people that have drove by that community garden, numerous comments, they don't even know that that's the community, they think it's swamp. Somebody, you know, they don't know that's the actual community land.
Put out big old poster.
Yeah, but you've seen some comments come back that they didn't know that was.
Yeah.
Oh, dear Marvin, you
Yeah.
promote it.
I don't know if it's okay to even say this, but we could make some in our STEM lab. We have the ability to engrave and to print all of it,
Yeah.
sign.
Thank you guys, that old call.
Yeah.
So if you tell us exactly kind of what you want, we can do that. For signing.
Yeah, we're open to anything. Yeah. Used to be Boy Scout projects that would take on stuff like that. They would probably easy.
I think it's just a time thing, place your own risk, town is not responsible for accidents.
Anything else, new business? 25, no new business. Number 26, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.